my day ones. Do middle fingers for the haters. Let's only getting greater. Straight up from nothing we go.
Hey guys, it's Charlyn. I am so sorry I have not posted a video in such a long time. I did record videos. I wanted to edit them and upload them, but for me it was just not post worthy, and I didn't want to come back and basically have like a half-ass video for you guys. So today everybody is kind of quiet down and my mom's at work. Everybody else is still kind of sleeping, so I have the quiet time I need. Before, like for the past 3 months, I was working at the zoo, and it was just a lot of time consuming going to and then back home, like to work and then back home. It was like a lot of time like to get there and then to come home. It took a lot of my time up. That plus like everybody's schedule around my filming time. I've been getting a lot of comments, a lot of requests to do more story times and like more ghost stories, like my skinwalker stories and stuff like that. I do have a few, I do have a couple. Like I said before, I needed to get permission for one particular story, and I don't think I'm gonna get everybody's like a yes to go ahead and make it because of how it conflicts with their traditional ways. So I might not even get to tell that story, but hopefully someday I get to. But today I wanted to tell you guys about the first time I went ghost hunting. Okay, so the first time I went ghost hunting was with one of my uncles and his girlfriend at the time, which is his wife now. But this was like in 2008. I think it was in 2008. I was like 18 years old. I remember we went bowling. I believe we went bowling. I think we went to eat and then we went to the movies. I think we watched a scary movie that night, but I don't remember. I'm not too sure about what movie it was. But it was with my uncle and his wife. No, his wife now, but they were just dating, and that was when they were just started dating. And I went with them, and I remember like talking about like paranormal activity and stuff like that, and just the thought of it, we were like so amazed and amused by it. And like we started talking about scary stories, we started talking about scary experiences and different places, and everybody was like, oh, have you been here, have you seen this, did anybody tell you about this? And we're like, no, let's. Then finally we got to the point where we're like, well, let's go look for something, like let's go check it out. Yeah. So where we're from like the Wind Rock area, which is on the Navajo Nation, which was where I'm originally from. And there's other places in the area like Fort Defiance and St. Michael's, Hunters Point, stuff like that. A lot of people have different stories for different areas. I guess it just depends where you're from. It's kind of like their local scary story kind of thing. And we wanted to see because she had a lot of stories, my uncle's wife, she had a lot of stories about the St. Michael's area, and my uncle did too, because growing up as a kid in that area, because that's where we lived, and where they grew up was in St. Michael's. You know, they know the area, they grew up in the area, and we wanted to like take the back roads and like where people talk about other things, talk about scary like encounters and stuff. So I believe we went to where the mission is, which is like a big Catholic church, a little ways from where my family used to live. And we've been there a couple times. We always go during the day, we never go at night because there's always like spooky stuff that happens in the area. But behind the mission, it's not right behind it, but like further down the road, and then there's a Catholic school there, and beside that there's this statue. It's a big statue. I think it's, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like an angel or whatever it is, but it looks creepy. And I remember them telling me a story about the statue. They're like, yeah, that statue walks around at night and sings to the people at the graveyard. Like, there's a cemetery there. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, you guys are lying. Like, I kept telling them, you guys are lying. That's bullshit. And they're like, no, that people tell us, like, people have seen this statue sing to the people in the cemetery, like people that passed away, like the gravestones and stuff. Like it would walk around and check and like, I don't know, like comfort them in a way. So I was like, okay, so like me being so young and like gullible and like vulnerable and being curious at such a young age, and I was like, okay, well, let's go. So we went to where this church is, and we went down by the school. So if you park in the parking lot of the school, if you park close enough to the fence where the statue is, if you shine a bright light, you can see the statue. And I remember parking there, and they were both in the front. My uncle was driving, and his wife was in the passenger seat, and I was in the back in the middle. And I kept telling him like, there's nothing. Like I kept saying stuff like that because like I was scared. I didn't want to be out there, but I went along with it because like this was our first ghost hunting experience, and we wanted to like get the full effect out of it. So we were out there, and I remember like we parked there for a couple minutes, and all of a sudden like this statue was just sitting there, and then I remember like these like black things just slowly come around the statue, and it's like they're standing in front of that statue. And we're like, what the fuck, do you guys see that? Do you guys see that? Like, we're asking each other, do you guys see that? And then my uncle was like, there's something climbing on it. And then his wife was like, oh, she's like, I see it too. And I was like, what the hell? So we're just sitting there, and slowly like these things just started crawling all over it. And they looked like little tiny, I don't know what they were, but they were climbing all over the statue. And I was like, fuck that. Finally we were like, let's go, let's get out of here, let's just drive off. So we did. And I remember, I think we did like a circle. We kind of went back to where the church, not all the way where the church is at, we kind of went around in the parking lot on the other side. And I remember coming back, and when we were looking down there, it's dark, but there's a light down there so you can see. And I remember us driving by it, and we were trying to look at it, and the statue was not there. The statue was gone, like completely gone. And I told my uncle, I was like, it's not there. So he kind of slowed down, and we looked, the statue was not there anymore. So we're like, fuck that, let's go. And then when you come in on the backside, which goes towards like Hunters Point area, we were driving up that way, and there's this really big tree on the side, on the left hand side. And it kind of goes up on a hill, and then you go down into like the highway. And when we were going up and over that big trees right there, I remember sitting in the back, and then like when I looked to the left, I seen this tall big figure next to the tree, and I was like, oh my god, it's fucking standing by the trees. And my uncle was like, where? I was like, don't fucking stop, just go, let's get out of here. And then like we just hurry up and drove, and there's a stop sign there, so like we're trying to like hurry up and take off, but we're trying to make sure like there's no traffic, so we're driving down the road. And then we circled back around towards back up towards St. Michael's, and there's another road back there. And I remember they said something about like little tiny people, or like some kind of, I don't know what it is, I don't know what they are, what they call them, but it's like where their telecommunications building is for like landlines for telephones and stuff. It's a road that goes back like a little in that area. I'm not sure, like I've tried to look for it myself because other people wanted to go back there and look, and like every time we went to look, we could never find it. So, but I remember going on this little tiny dirt road, and it goes down a path, and it's like so bumpy, it's like so like uneven, like all the way down. And I remember I was driving back there, and she was telling us stories about people seeing little tiny, like, I don't know what the hell, like demon things, or like little people, or I don't know, like gnomes or something. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, okay. So I remember driving down that hill. We're going really slow because it's kind of like a washboard road. And I just remember my uncle slamming on the brakes, and he's like, did you see that? And I was like, the fuck are you guys talking about? Like, what? I was like, I don't see anything. And I remember like his wife looking in the rearview mirror on her side and the passenger side, and she said there's this little tiny thing running after us, and like every time we slam on the brakes, the lights, like the brake lights would come on, and they could see it. And I was like, oh my god, like I'm in the back here, like by myself, I'm sitting in the back by myself. And I just remember my uncle telling me, don't get scared, everything's gonna be okay. And I remember driving, and we went all the way back around, and then we came back around back into the highway. And I was like kind of paranoid and scared. I was like, I just want to go home now. Like I kept thinking that to myself. Like I was so scared to the point where I was like kind of trembling and shivering, like how you get so scared but you don't want to like show fear, but you're not cold, but you feel cold. Like your teeth chatter and your body kind of like tenses up, and you're like grip, like I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if other people, like when they get scared or something, or like when they're really terrified for like a long period of time, like how they feel, but that's how I get. Like my body gets really tense, I feel cold, like I grip like my hands, or like I grip onto something, and I just remember like wanting to go home. Like I don't want to be out here anymore. And this was like maybe between 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're seeing all this creepy ass stuff that I've never seen before. Like I've seen stuff since I was little, but like actually seeing stuff move out in the open and other people experience it with me at the same time, that's what was so like surprising to me. And to see it like in front of you with other people, so that there is witnesses and people aren't like, are you sure, like questioning you. So there's 3 of us that seen this thing. And I just remember like, I want to go home, but I didn't want to be like, can you take me home now? Like, you know, I was 18 years old, like I didn't want to be like that square person that would like back out at the last minute. So I went along with the whole thing. I mean, scaring myself and us being all scared together, it was just kind of all of our own fault because we all agreed to it. But I just remember sitting there so afraid, like like I wanted to run. Like you feel like you want, like your fear is so, like you have so much fear in your body that you just want to run and like go into a safe place, you know what I mean? And I remember us going back to where the church was, the Catholic church. We circle back around, went back to the Catholic church, and we're like, let's just go back and see if there's anything. I didn't want to go back there. I did not want to go back there at all. I just remember thinking to myself, like, that thing's like walking around down there. I don't want to see it again. And then I remember going through, because when you turn into where the Catholic church is, when you turn on that turn off, there's a post office right there. So you drive down that way, and there's a driveway, and then there's a cattle guard, and then you go over like a couple speed bumps. There's a big Catholic church, like it's a big Catholic church. And I remember driving down there, and there's a house down there. There's an old stone house. It's like kind of like a museum type of thing. And I remember us shining the lights at it, and I remember we seen something inside one of the windows, and we're like, the fuck, is there anybody in there? And then we were like, no, nobody stays there, nobody lives there, no one's allowed there. Like, I don't know if it's like a certain time, or like, I don't know if they have a like a curfew thing for people that visit it or something, but like, it's 1 o'clock at night. I mean, like 1 a.m. and we see something in this window, and we're like, what the fuck? So I was like, don't stop, just keep going. And I remember my uncle just driving along, like we were just driving along, and then when you come around to like go towards where the school is, it kind of like circles into like around, and then it goes towards like a soccer field, and then you go over a small bridge. But we were going around where all the rocks were to go towards where the soccer field is. And I remember sitting there and like trying not to like look out the windows, where you're kind of like trying to stay focused, like where the light is, and you don't want to look out the back windows, or like you don't want to take your like focus off like into the dark. So I remember sitting there, I was like holding on to both of the seats, and like everybody, like my uncle and his wife was like, did you see that? Did you see that? There's something up there that has a white face. And I was like, what the fuck? I remember sitting there just like trying not to look and holding on to the seats. And then finally my uncle like rolled his window away, like window down like halfway, and like we were parked there. We like slowly were driving, and then pretty soon we just parked where they see this thing that has a white face. It's like, why would you stop? Like, really? And I remember sitting there holding onto the seats, like gripping on for dear life, like something was going to drag me out of the car and like dismember me out there. I remember sitting there, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was like a spirit, a ghost. I don't know what it was, but I remember sitting there, and then my uncle was like, it's right there, it's right there. And I was like, I don't want to look out there. Like, come on, let's go. And I remember parked there, and all of a sudden, like my uncle just reached for his throat, and like he felt like he was making like choking noises, like something was choking him. And all I remember doing is like, what the hell? Like, I remember thinking like, what the fuck is wrong? Like, what's going on? Like, I got so scared, and I was like, what's going on? And I was trying to feel for him, like, what's wrong? Like, I was trying to ask him, like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And he's like trying to reach for his throat, and he couldn't talk. So like, I just covered like his mouth and his throat, and I started praying. Like, I didn't know what to do. We didn't know what to do. We were sitting there like, what do we do? And as soon as I started praying, like I started praying out loud, and I was like, I was praying. I was trying not to be so afraid. I was trying to like be brave and be like, oh my God, like take this thing away. And then pretty soon, like I started praying louder and faster, and all of a sudden he was like like he started gasping for air, and he was like, oh my God. He's like, that whatever that thing was, he's like, that thing like grabbed his throat. Like he could see it, but we didn't see it. But like it reached into the car, and like I think it was like, I don't know if it was choke. I don't know if he said it was choking him, or like it kind of like reached in his mouth and it was like holding his throat inside. And I was like, what the hell? Like I just remember being so scared, and I was sitting in the back and I was still praying, and I was like, let's just go home. I was like, just take me back home now, like this is it, like I don't want to be out here no more. So he's like, okay, well we'll drive around. So we started driving around, went through by the soccer field. We went past the school, like basically right where we went, and then we went back up. And then there's a dirt road that goes back towards where my grandpa's, like my grandma and grandpa's, where they used to live. So we went through that dirt road, and we passed by where my grandpa's little piece of land is at, and we started driving along. And I remember us going towards where the cattle guard is. And my grandpa's brother is a preacher, and I remember parked there, and there's this man walking out there. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. It's like maybe 1:45ish now. It's almost 2. And I remember this man walking out, and he was like waving at us, all happy. And then he looked exactly like my grandpa's brother, like exactly identical. And I was like, dude, I was like, is that grandpa, right? And then my uncle was like, where? And I was like, right there. And I remember like my uncle was like, it looks just like him. And he started waving at us, and he was like smiling, and then like we started driving off. Sorry guys, my camera ran out of space, so I had to go and put the file on the laptop and then come back and then finish the story. But I just remember being so scared. Like I just wanted to go home. I just wanted to be like in a safe place, like where I knew I was gonna be safe. And I remember sitting there and just like seeing this person's face like completely like go from happy and smiling and all in like so ecstatic to see us, and then all of a sudden like when we start driving off and everything, it's just like his whole face completely like shifted and like twisted up. I had no idea. I just remember seeing like his face, everything was just like out of place, like a scary movie. Like basically everything that happens in a scary movie is kind of like how people's faces change sometimes, where they have like their eyes black out and like their mouth opens. Like this person's face completely twisted up. And I just remember sitting there like, what the fuck? Like, like I remember my heart pounding, my palms were like, my palms were like sweating, and like I just remember like feeling so much chills, and I got scared. There's fucking somebody walked by. But I just remember being so terrified. Like I just wanted to go home. I just wanted to be near like my mom, and at that time we were staying with my grandparents, and I remember just wanting to go home and just be like near my grandpa and my mom and my sisters. And I remember driving back towards Wood Rock. Like you go down, it's kind of like when you're going down, it kind of goes down to a hill, then it goes to a street light. And I remember us driving down towards the traffic light, and I remember just thinking like, what the fuck, we gotta get out of here. Like I just want to go home. Like I don't want to be out here no more. I don't want to do this no more. And I remember like driving down the road, and whatever that guy was, if he was like a spirit or like a bad spirit or like a demon or something, like if he was just replicating like what our grandpa looks like I was just thinking to myself like, what the fuck, like what is this? And I remember us driving off and driving past this guy, and we like got halfway down towards where the traffic light was, and I remember seeing this thing come out running and chasing us, like running after us, like legit running after us. I don't know what it was. I don't know. I just don't know what it was, but it was like a big like beast looking thing. It was like a light brown color, and I could see it in a distance, and like it was like running, kind of like trotting like slowly after us. And then pretty soon it started picking up speed, and I remember going past the traffic light, going maybe like a quarter of a mile down from the traffic light, and my uncle was like, what the hell is that? Like he could see it in his rearview mirror. And we drove, and then he did a U-turn in the middle of the road, and we started going back towards it. I just remember this thing running at us, and then all of a sudden it was just gone, like out of thin air, gone. Like, what the fuck? Like, it was running like legit at us, running at the car, and then all of a sudden it just disappears, like completely gone. And I was so scared, like I didn't even want to sit in the back seat anymore. Like literally, like I was like leaning in between on the middle console between my uncle and his wife. Like I just did not want to be in the back seat no more. I didn't want to be in the car no more. I just wanted to go home. So they drove me back home. Like I had to have my uncle walk me to the door because like made sure like I got all the way inside. And that night I didn't even want to sleep by myself. Like I stayed with my mom. I slept with my mom, and I remember waking up the next day and I felt so sick. I've never been that sick in my entire life compared to that during that time. I had a cough, my chest hurt, I had like really bad like migraine, like I just felt so nauseous. My bones were aching. And like I was like fucking healthy as fuck the day before. Like there was nothing wrong with me before this. And I remember just sitting there and I felt so ill. And my mom told my grandpa what happened because I was so scared, and my mom was like, why don't you want to sleep upstairs, like what's wrong? And I told her everything, and then I woke up sick. Like I was just really sick. Like I had a really bad flu. Like that's how it felt, how you get chills and your bones ache and you just feel nauseous and like a head cold, like everything, and just like you can imagine when you're being sick. And I was like, what happened? Like why am I sick? Like why do I feel like this? Like I just didn't understand. Like even now, like what the hell? Like I remember like being okay, happy, like out, like I was like so like the way I am, like not like on here, like on my channel, like I talk and tell stories and you can see my personality, but my complete full personality is like I'm open, I'm funny, I'm goofy, like I have like this quirky personality that a lot of people like and a lot of people don't like. I mean, it's not like, it's not my fault you don't like me. I mean, I understand people aren't gonna like me, but like the way I am is like I'm a fun, outgoing, loud person. Like I like to make jokes, I like to make people laugh and smile. And going from that the day before to completely sick, crying, and pain. So that day my grandparents were asking me like questions like, where did you go? What did you guys see? Why were you guys out there so late? Like all of these questions. And finally like my grandpa told us like, you guys shouldn't be doing that. When you go out to look for stuff like that, like you're inviting them to, like you're inviting them into yourself, like you're inviting them to show themselves to you. And I guess that's why I got sick, is because like going and looking for them, like you want to see them, you want to be able to communicate with them. And I guess that's why I got sick. And whatever was out there, whatever was around, is the reason why I got sick. And I was like, I don't want to go through that again. I mean, I've done it a couple times after that. Like I know what to expect, but like I know that I'm not supposed to do that. Like everybody knows that you're not supposed to go looking for something that you don't want to see. You know, it's like you're inviting the bad spirits like into yourself, into your life, into your space. Like that's why I got sick, is because things that are in the dark that aren't supposed to be seen is basically what we're out there looking for, and we're inviting them into our space and like our, how would you say, not like aura, but like you're inviting them, like you're, how would you say it, like you're welcoming them. Like basically you're going out there to look for them, so you like they think it's okay for you, them to be welcome. So like if you do see something or catch something, like you're welcoming them to come home with you, you're welcoming them, like welcoming them to stay. That's why my grandpa told us like, don't ever go looking for stuff like that. So like us going and doing that, I got so sick. I never did anything like that extreme again. Every time they went and did it, I never went. Like I went like 2 times after that, but I never went to the places that we went before. I completely stopped doing that. But that was probably my first ghost hunting experience, and it was really bad. I probably would never do anything like that again. And if I do, I mean, it's kind of like your curiosity gets the best of you, that you want to prove, like you want to see like actually something. Like, you know, you see so much skepticism amongst people, and they're like, ghosts, ghosts don't exist, demons don't exist, spirits don't exist, and you just want to let people know, you know, like you want to show them like this is real, this is out there. And I never push my religion on people. Like I'm Christian, I believe in God, but I never tell people like, oh, you should be a Christian. Like there's like being Native American and understanding your background and your culture. I wasn't raised that way, but I understand it and I respect it. And I don't expect people to be like, oh, just because you don't believe in your traditional ways, you're not a true Native. Like I hate when people say that to me. I respect your ways, I respect how you look at things, but don't come to me and tell me like, oh, you're wrong. You know, that's like me coming to you and telling you you're wrong for the way you believe, and I believe that's like really disrespectful. But I just remember being so sick. I remember being like, I never wanted to do that again, so I never did. But that was like my first ghost hunting experience I wanted to share with you guys. I have a lot more stories. I have so much more stories that I want to tell. Hopefully I can get them out, like I can start filming consistently and then posting for you guys. But don't be afraid to comment down below. More than likely I respond to like every comment that I get, so if you guys have any requests, questions, anything like that, go ahead and comment in the comment section, or you can reach me on any of my social media platforms, which is listed below. My Snapchat I'm active on, my Instagram, my Twitter, all of that. If you write me like DM, tweet at me, or send me a Snapchat, I'll respond. I'll always try to do that with you guys, no matter how big my channel grows. I want to stay active with you guys. I want to be able to be here for you guys and talk to you guys, and not just sit here and you guys watch me like a one-sided conversation. I want your guys' input and your information and your stories and stuff like that. So if you guys want to interact with me, everything's down in the description box below. If you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. It helps me to grow a bigger channel. It helps us to become a bigger community, which I love so much. I have no idea how I gained about 80 subscribers in the past 3 months. I have not been that active, but I'm active to my comments and stuff like that. I just haven't been posting, but I'm glad that I'm back. I'm glad that I'll be able to post for you guys. I know that this is a long story time. I'm so sorry. If you don't like my videos and you don't want to listen to me like go on about my stories, then don't watch it. I mean, it's simple as that. I talk a lot and I like to talk. This is a story time channel, or a portion of it is. So if you don't like that, then simple as is, don't watch it. But other people like to hear my stories. Other people don't complain. If you don't want to watch it and it seems too long to you, then don't watch it. Simple as is. But go ahead and hit the like button down below, comment down below, hit me up on my social media, and thank you guys so much for watching. Everyone view, everyone subscriber, everyone comment. It means so much to me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.